If you're going to a networking event, you want to make the most of that opportunity, and taking a little bit of time before you go can actually create some massive results. And so in this video, we're going to talk about how to prepare for a networking event. In this video, we're going to cover 4 things. First, what is the purpose of networking? Second is going to be, what's our checklist, the things to do prior to going to the event. We're going to spend a little bit of time on how to make the most of being at the event, and afterwards, what do we need to do after the networking event? Now, that all being said, if you wanted to skip ahead to one of the topics, feel free to do that down in the description below. All you have to do is click on the time by the topic that you want, and it'll take you right there. So if we look at what's the purpose of networking, I think that this can apply both to the online and the in-person networking. So I don't know that there's much of a difference in preparing and the purpose of what we're doing in networking. And so I think networking, the goal is we want to book a meeting from the meeting. So I go to this event, I'm at this meeting, and my goal is to see who are the people in the room or in the Zoom that I'm looking to connect with afterwards. So I'm looking and thinking, okay, are there any contact sphere relationships? This is the non-competing industry, same target market, the best referral sources. And are there any prospects here? Now, do be aware, because a lot of times people think, I'm going to go networking and I want to sell. No, don't do that. If you think about it, how many of us are going to a networking event to purchase? Yeah, typically not. So if we're not going to buy, why would people go to sell? We call that the networking disconnect. So be careful of that. Do know, okay, the purpose to me of networking is to book a meeting from the meeting in support of developing those stronger relationships. So I think networking gives us the opportunity to be in the room or the Zoom with the people that we want to develop the relationships with. Now, what do we want to do before the networking event to make the most of it? And I even mentioned a checklist. So in the 4.5 networking mistakes, I cover 19 networking nuggets, and it talks about what to do before, during, and after a networking event, plus how to deal with the networking nervousness. So I want to talk about the before the networking event. And I've got 3 networking nuggets that we're going to focus on. The first networking nugget, number 1, is pick the right event. There are so many different networking opportunities out there, in person as well as online. And what's the right event? So a couple things that I take into consideration is, are the right people there? So are the target market, are my ideal clients, are my best referral sources going to be there? That's definitely something that I need one of those 2 to be yes. I take a look at, does it fit well in my calendar? What is the drive to and from? How long is the event? What's the structure of the event? I want to check it out to make sure that the event fits in with the goals that I'm creating, which is actually networking nugget number 3. You want to create a goal. I think it's really powerful to create intention prior to going to the event. Now, it could be a goal around how many prospects do you connect with? How many referral sources do you connect with? How many appointments do you set up? Could also be things like, let me connect with some people that I haven't seen in a while. Maybe it's, I want to generate referrals. I love going to a networking event, and one of my goals often is, okay, how many referrals can I generate for other people? And I do that. The question I like to ask is, hey, what's going on in your world that you could use a little help with, or what are you struggling with lately? Because then it gives me the opportunity to generate that referral and create that connection. So you could create a goal around that. Now, Shawn Yesner, who is one of our Referrals for Life community members, I posed this question, and here was his thoughts on, how to be prepared for a networking event.
First thing that I do is I set my goals. How many people do I want to meet? And how many meetings do I want to set from that meeting? So I don't want to talk to a lot of people for a long period of time. I want to talk to them. I want to get to know them a little bit and then set a meeting from that meeting.
Thanks so much, Shawn. We'll actually hear from him a little bit later as well. Now, you might be thinking I gave you networking nugget 1 and 3, but I skipped 2. So let's get back to networking nugget number 2. And that's, have your tools with you when you go networking. And so I actually have a networking tool kit. This is what I can put. Okay, I've got a lot of these because I made them several years ago. So this is an empty one. I've got the full one in the car. But you want to make sure that you have your tools with you. And some of those things could be definitely business cards, a name tag. And I actually have there's a video on how to dress for networking. And I go really in depth into the name tag, and give that a watch if you want to know what to put on the name tag to have people asking you questions. I usually like to also take my phone, not to talk on it. That's rude. But it does have my calendar, so I can book that meeting right then and there. Sometimes I will take a writing utensil and I've got my Post-it notes, because then I can make notes and put them on there and then stick them to the business card. Mincer gum can sometimes be a great thing to have with you, because if you've been out all day and the breath is kicking, that is not a good thing. So you want to make sure that you smell nice and fresh. So make sure maybe some breath mints. Now, I mentioned that I have a video how to dress for a networking event, and that does get way more into details, so you can check that off. I want to give you kind of the Cliff Notes version right now, though, on what this could look like, because I do think being prepared makes a difference. So we want to look professional. So to me, I always say dress as if you're going to meet your best prospect, not as if you're doing the actual work. So we want to look nice, as if we were going to our best deal that we've ever created. And I recommend that you also be well groomed. So is that the hair styled? Do you need to shave, gentlemen or ladies? Do you look well put together? Do your clothes fit? I had a gentleman that I knew, and he lost 50 pounds, and it was, great for him, but he was still wearing the same suits when he was heavier. And so they were hanging off of him. It just didn't look well. So do keep in mind that you look well put together, because people are going to make judgments based on your appearance on whether or not they want to do business with you. Now, if we're doing a networking on Zoom, we probably don't need the business cards, because there's no way to get them to them. So we want to think about, okay, what are the things that I might need if I'm going to be on Zoom for hours? I typically like to make sure I have my beverage, my water ready to go. I have a notepad handy. I've got something to write with. I've totally fallen in love. My husband got me a Rocket book, and you can make notes and then take a picture of it, loads it up to the computer, and then wipe the pages off and start over again. So this is like my new favorite tool that I use when I'm doing networking. And it just comes with one pen, but my husband went online and got me an array of colors, because I like to write in the colors. So that's no affiliation with Rocketbook. I'm just dropping everything now. I just am totally in love with this, and it's something that I have as a tool for when I'm doing my networking on Zoom. I think it's important for us to keep in mind, what should we do when we're at the networking event? And this is definitely going to be another Cliff Notes version, because I have several videos. I'll put the link in the description below. But we want to keep in mind, okay, what are we going to do there? So if we're in person, do we have I'm not a big fan of the elevator pitch, but I have my alternative, the funneling conversation. Do we have that ready to go if we're going to be mixing and mingling and talking to people one-on-one? Do we have a little speech put together if it's an opportunity to do a 30 or 60-second commercial? Because we can do that, and sometimes in person or online, but we want to have that prepared and ready to go. Or do we have our spill ready if it's speed networking? So we want to make sure that we're prepared with what we're going to say. And again, in the comments below, I will have the links to all of those different videos. Plus, we want to create some intention around who's going to be in the room. And so I have Jason Avery, who is a founding member of the Referrals for Life community. And I asked him this question, and he had this tip for you.
Well, first, I show up to the event, and I go directly to the people coordinating the event, and I ask them who's in the room today, or who's expected to be in the room today. I make sure that I go right after the target, and there's going to be lots and lots of people. They're going to try and capture lots and lots of your time, and so you got to know who to identify as the people that you must spend some time with before you leave that networking event, if you want to be able to trade some business cards, with the idea that you're going to set up a follow-up appointment where you can do a one-to-one and get to know those people better.
Love the idea. And Shawn had a similar, though slightly different take on making the most out of these networking events.
I like to hang out at the registration table, because I like to see who else is going to be there. Who have they already created name tags for? And that way I get a sense of, are there going to be a lot of people there that I know, and so I can be a little bit more comfortable? Or are there going to be less people there that I know, and I really have to sort of turn it on in order to network?
All right. One other thing that you want to think about when networking. And so I posed this question on social media, and I asked, and Daniel had this response when it comes to, networking. Grab enough business cards so I can give 2 to 3 to every single person that even remotely makes eye contact, and try to figure out what high pressure sales pitch I can make to those people, and then calculate how many deals I'll close. Love, love, love this from a definitely satirical standpoint, because yes, nobody wants to be a victim of in-person spamming. That's what I call when somebody gives you a business card and you didn't ask them for the business card. That's actually, so networking nugget number 11 in the book is only give out your business cards when asked. It is one of the 4.5 networking mistakes for when people say, yeah, just don't in-person spam. It's not a good thing. And lastly, you want to be sure that you follow up. To me, if I'm going to a networking event and I don't have the time to follow up, why did I go in the first place? Now, one of the ways I try to ensure that I have time to follow up is when I schedule in my calendar the actual activity. So when I schedule in my calendar, hey, I'm going to go to this networking event, I also schedule in my calendar, here's when I'm going to be doing the follow up. And I think that helps ensure that we have the time to do the follow-up. And if you're looking for the best way to follow up, another video here on YouTube for you. Thanks so much for watching today's video. I would love for you in the comments below to let me know, what is your tip that you have for, being sure to be prepared for an event that maybe I didn't cover? Or what's your kind of eTiffanie, that's your aha moment, your top takeaway from today's video. And while you're down there, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel to get notifications of upcoming videos that we have coming up. And happy networking.